Professor Layton vs Pheonix Wright is a brilliant amalgamation of the Pheonix Wright and Professor Layton series. In short, if you like either series, you will love this game. Both are excellently represented and come together to make one awesome experience. Kinda like a two-piece jigsaw. They sort of complete each other. The reason for this is because the gameplay of both franchises is rather similar. In Professor Layton, you're confronted with an intriguing mystery. In order to solve it, you need to walk around clicking on people and things in the environment to get information and advance the plot, all the while solving little brain-teasing puzzles that serve as challenges to hinder your progress. In Pheonix Wright, you're confronted by an intriguing murder mystery. In order to solve it, you need to walk around clicking on people and things in the environment to get information and evidence for the case, after which you attempt to use the evidence you found to defend your client in court. So as you can see, this game is a match made in heaven. If you like one franchise, chances are you'll like the other. And if you haven't tried the other franchise, this game is a very good place to be introduced. Hell, it's probably a good game to introduce newcomers to both franchises. This game's main theme is witches. That's not a spoiler, by the way. Witches get introduced immediately. Witches? Are they real? How? That's the mystery that Professor Layton and his apprentice Luke endeavour to solve. And what do we do with witches? Precisely. And how do we decide that somebody is a witch? With a witch trial. That's how Pheonix Wright comes into the picture, and it all meshes lovelyly. You battle in court to find out who's committed the crime of being a witch. The sentence? Death by fire. Gruesome. The way the two games mix is by having the Layton aspect of the game in between the witch trials. You walk around and solve puzzles, and then battle in court. Oftentimes in the Pheonix Wright games, there's not much interesting gameplay in between the court battles, so having the puzzles in these segments is great, and keeps things from getting boring. The puzzles themselves vary in difficulty depending on how your brain works. Some people are good at thinking outside the box, others are better at visualizing shapes from different angles, some are just good at maths. Whatever your preference, there's a puzzle for you in this game, and if you have trouble with them, you needn't worry, as most puzzles are completely optional, and there are hint coins hidden throughout the game that you can spend to get some help. Just don't use them all the time or you'll run out, there's a limited number of them. The cool thing about the hint coins though, is that you can use them in the witch trials as well. You ever been in that situation in Pheonix Wright where you have a vague idea of what you need to present, but you're not quite sure where to present it, and you fuck up because you were thinking too far ahead or something? Well, with a hint coin, you don't need to worry about that anymore. It tells you where to present or whether to press a specific part of a testimony, so you never need to guess and lose points with the judge. Speaking of points with the judge, the trials have a 5 shield system. If you make 5 incorrect objections, then you lose and the defendant is pronounced guilty. After which you just have to try again from your last save point, and that sucks because some of these trials go on for a very long time and there's no way to replenish your shields halfway through. But again, the hint coins help a lot with making sure you don't make silly mistakes, so I'd advise you to use them if you're not sure about something. The puzzles can't get you a game over. If you fail a puzzle, you just get less picarats, which acts as score. So if you're not terribly concerned about having a high score, I say use them sparingly on the puzzles in order to save some for a tricky situation in court. Another cool thing is that in the courtroom there's this new system where there's multiple witnesses and they can all have different testimonies and they can contradict each other. So sometimes you don't show evidence, you don't object, you use their testimonies against each other, which is interesting. Just thought I should put that in there in this sort of weird over the side of the chair business. Back to over there where I'm talking about In addition to hint coins, the Professor Layton aspect of this game adds another helpful feature: the menu. In Pheonix Wright games, there's not much to the menu. There's a save and Baron. But this Professor Layton menu has a bunch of cool and handy stuff in it. You've got the puzzle index in case you want to replay any puzzles you've completed. There's the memo pad where you can draw down little notes and stuff. Here's one I made earlier. There's the mysteries page where you can look over all the unsolved mysteries you encounter in your adventure. As the story progresses, these mysteries slowly get solved. And then there's the story page. This is exceedingly helpful for returning to the game after a long break, or if you just want to remind yourself of what happened. So often I've gotten stuck in a Pheonix Wright game only to give up and then leave it alone for 3 months or something. During that time I usually forget everything I was supposed to be doing, and then I come back to the game more confused than I was when I left. It may seem like a really small detail, but I find this really helpful. And now let's take a look at the options menu.
and as you can plainly see, there's no FOV slider. Shameful display!
Now onto the art design. The environments in this game are really very pretty and have a slight three-dimensional quality to them. When you look around, it doesn't feel like you're simply scrolling over an image. It moves in a realistic way. Great attention to detail. It's even cooler when you turn on the 3D. Speaking of 3D, you may have noticed by now that all the characters in this game have a 3D model. Pheonix Wright takes a bit of getting used to, but Maya's spot on. The animations are excellent and the designs of the NPCs are great. The only issue you may have with the 3D models is that occasionally, when there are 3 or 4 of them on screen at once, it makes the frame rate drop quite noticeably. If that's something that annoys you, then, well, you'll probably get annoyed when it happens. Luckily, this is rather infrequent and never affects the gameplay. The overarching character design is an interesting mix of the more realistic anime-influenced characters from Pheonix Wright games, and the creatively abstract-looking characters from the Professor Layton games. And of course, like in both franchises, they're all quirky and interesting. There's a fair amount of 2D animated cutscenes too, another convention of the Layton games. These are beautiful and impressive. I would watch a whole movie of this, wouldn't you? There's also a decent amount of voice acting in this game. All the main characters have some moments of dialogue, and for the most part it's extremely good. There's barely a cringy moment in it. The soundtrack is very good as well. It's fully orchestrated and includes orchestrated versions of classic tunes from both franchises. Here's a few comparisons. And last but not least, the downloadable content. It's all free, which is an instant plus. After you beat the game, you can download some new episodes. They're basically short bits of dialogue between the established characters 1 year after the events of the game have taken place. It's cool because the writing in this game is generally brilliant and the character interactions are some of the best bits. So to have a bunch more to peruse is awesome. They also break the fourth wall like crazy talking about the fans and how many copies of the game sold and cosplayers. Guys, it's the best. Each episode also comes with a new puzzle that never made its way into the final game. Guys, this game is heavenly. I'm a big fan of both franchises, so it stands to reason that I'd really enjoy it. But I think it's just a very good game. Non-fans of both things will enjoy it as well, I am sure. And if this video has convinced you to buy the game, then I guess I'm the best. And if it doesn't sound like something you'd want to play, then share this video with your friends, maybe they'd enjoy it. So until next time, goodbye!
Hey, thanks for watching. You look like the kind of talented individual that could subscribe to my channel. And after you've done that, maybe you'd like to check out my other reviews. All 2 of them. They're about Dark Cloud and Jak and Daxter for the PS2. I also have a Facebook and a Tweetbird, so follow those. Why not?